Today we're doing some vintage stamping. Let's get started. Here's the finished eggs and what they look like. This is the warm white or whitish, and then I have the vintage green and also the soft black. You can see I have a magnet on the back. I want to show you how I do these. I use a stamp by Bo Bunny. So we're going to be stamping, and I'm using a clear acrylic block that we just stick them on, and that makes it much easier to put the stamps on. I base coated with the vintage green, and I'm just very easily popping these on, pressing firmly in some areas and then lighter in others. You can see how nice that comes out. I just put the paint on with the paintbrush, and I'm just doing it in a horizontal fashion. I'm just popping that on. Just slightly pressing in some areas and then harder in other areas. So with this one, you can see that didn't come out as well. So what I'm going to do is you can go ahead and lightly press right over it. You can see that it came out. I have some areas here that are a little bit darker and lighter, which that's kind of what I want. But I also have some areas that I can see that I really don't like these little lines here. So I'm going to take this stuff off. And it's very easy to do that with the Q-tips. You just lightly wet the Q-tips, and you can see it comes right off, just like that. We're just going to add some more areas. You're going to notice that I add paint to one part of the stamp and then not another part. So I'm using specific areas. I also put paint on them in different areas to let the paint dry a little bit, because you can see how it comes out. Made two here. Don't really want the two flowers, do we? So you can see how really easy it is to have that come off with just the wetted Q-tip. So we'll go ahead and just add some more here. And I'm just going to get an idea which direction I want to go here. It looks pretty good. I'm having it fall off the sides. You can see, maybe I want to use just that little flower. So I'm using specific parts of the stamp, not just all of it, to be a little bit more creative. Yeah. Now we're ready to go ahead and add some white softening areas. I call them frosty areas. You can see around the egg here. They're not really frost, but it's just a way of lightening and highlighting some areas. I work on the edges after I prepared my brush. You can see the details on how to do this in my painting tutorial. I just go around and lightly tap around, and then I'm finishing off with the larger mop brush because it helps just to blend it in a little bit. And I just work around specific areas in the design. As this comes along, you'll really be able to see the difference that it makes. It seems a little crazy to do that, to go to all this work, but once you see how it actually blends in the design and makes it a little bit more interesting, I think you'll really like doing this. I'm pulling off the edges. As you notice, I'm working the edges first, and then I work my way inward. Go right over the stamped design. Don't be afraid, don't go around it. It's going to make things look too odd. So I'm just going to really pull off the edges here. Work this around. Do you see it coming to life here with the depth? And it really kind of helps to accent the stamp. Just continue on until you get it to the way you want it. But really notice that I'm using that larger mop brush to go ahead and finish blending in when I first lay down that frosty area. That looks pretty good. So we're going to let that dry and start on the warm white egg. We're going to work on the edges. We're going to go ahead and add some edging to the back and the front. You can see on the sides here. It's fairly simple, but we'll start by doing just the edging around the egg. And I've done this on the frame, on the coasters. You can see I just fill up the brush a little bit and I'm just rubbing against the edging a little bit. Kind of makes it look a little bit more dimensional. Also gives it that vintage look. Just very lightly tap the edges. Now that those are a little bit dry, we're going to use the Maxine mop or a very large 3/8 or 3/4 inch mop, oval mop. Fill it a little bit with just a very tiny amount of paint and work it into the brush and just lightly brush along the edges in a vertical position. It just kind of makes it look more vintage. Notice I don't have a lot of paint on the brush. You can put it upside down and maybe you want one side a little bit darker than the others as far as the edges. And notice I'm pulling off of the edge again, just going in a vertical position. Very simple, it's just up and down. And that's it. You can make it darker or as lighter as you want it. Don't be afraid to turn the item around whichever surface you're working on, the frames or the coasters. You can see how I'm scrubbing this. Again, it's making it look older. I'm going to make this one a little bit darker. And that's kind of how they look. I use different colors. You can see the back of that one, for each of the eggs. To do the back, I'm just basically doing the same thing that I had done before. I'm just filling up that mop brush and I'm very lightly going to do the same thing that I did in the front. Maybe some of these you'd want to do a little bit lighter, some you want to do a little bit darker. It all depends. For this white one, I'm still using the soft black. For the other colors, that's all outlined in the tutorial. It dries very quickly too. We can go ahead and brush any other areas we want maybe to darken up. It's very simple. I hope you found this video helpful. It's just a quick little video that shows how we do these. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel and click the little notification button. See you next time.